continue. Leshem Yichud Kudsha Shechinah. We're trying to make a union between Havayah and Adnai, between Kudsha Shechinah, between what?
Yud K, Vav K.
Who did that? Oh, Fritz is here.
Uh-huh.
How are you? Yud K and Vav K, etc. And we said there's two ways of doing this: Havayah within Adnai and Adnai within Havayah. We did not get to explain what that means. So let's try to explain what that means. So unifying Havayah within Adnai is called Yichuda Tata'ah, the lower level of unity. Good morning. Now, in this particular union, the nature is primary, because Adnai represents nature. I mean, Adnai comes from Adon. Adon means a master. When you add the I at the end, you're just saying my master. That's all that word means.
Adon alone.
Right? My master. So it's talking about how Hashem is within the world, and so nature is primary and revealed, but within it, it has Havayah, it has the essential name of Hashem hidden inside. So based out of this, if a person is acting, behaving within this framework, so he has to act according to the laws of nature. If you want some money, you have to go work. No, if you want to get cured, you need to go to the doctor. You need to make an appropriate recipient to get certain things done based on the laws of nature, to get Hashem's blessing. And you also have to believe, and you have to pray, and you have to do the whole process. Now, there is a union, but who is primary? Primary is Adnai, primary is nature. Again, there could be a case where there's no union, and you don't pray, or you don't know that it comes from Hashem's blessings. So we're talking about the lower level, but it sounds very familiar. Like we're striving to do this, even though it's a lower level, but it's a lower level of unity. There's a level of no unity, right? Which is no good. So Yichuda Tata'ah is relatable, right? Morning. Then you have the higher level unity, Yichuda Ila'ah, which is how Adnai is within Havayah, right? So now the primary is the force that is above nature, beyond nature, unlimited, infinite. But it still needs something physical to grab a hold to, because we're trying to make a union. We're not trying to overwhelm and make the physical don't exist. So we might need a tiny keli, a tiny recipient, tiny jar to receive the blessings. So you wanna, like nowadays, so you say, how much should you work? You talk about Bitachon, the idea of Bitachon, you have to trust in Hashem. The more you trust in Hashem, the more money you can make. But you still have to do an appropriate effort. An appropriate effort, and nowadays, if you work, 40 hours a week, you're doing an appropriate effort, more or less. If you're working 100 hours a week, that's too much effort. If you're working 10 hours a week, based on the laws of nature, it doesn't. You might not get enough blessing. Maybe that's you're wasting time. Depends. Unless the other 30 hours, which you would be working, you're learning Torah, then okay, you're good. But if the other 30 hours you're watching hockey or going and buying hats, then that's not good.
Order them online. You gotta have more time to learn this stuff.
There you go. But what happens here? Again, this is not just infinite, transcendent. It needs a tiny keli to receive whatever has to happen. And so they say a famous story about the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov was in need of a very big amount of money. Probably, if I remember, I don't have it written down, but if I remember correctly, was to redeem a Jew, or for some, not because he needed money for himself, he needed money for some important thing. Mm-hmm. He goes to this Jew's house, a guy who has a lot of money. He goes to his door, he knocks on the door, and he leaves. He leaves. He starts walking away. Eventually, the Jew opens the door, and he sees far away the Baal Shem Tov. So he runs after him. Says, Baal Shem Tov, so nice to see you. What do you need? And he says, no, I needed this amount of money, a big amount. He says, okay, I'll give it to you. And the students were like, dear Rabbi, why you do it this way? He says, simple. I needed a bracha from Hashem. And for that you need a keli. You need somehow to get it. Does that mean I have to go and sit down and spend 5 hours with the person asking him for money? No, I knocked on the door. That was physical. That was enough of a physical recipient to receive the blessing of Hashem and get the money he needed. Imagine that.
How did the rich man know who he was?
You've probably seen him before.
This is somewhere in Ukraine, modern day Ukraine.
Probably. Although Baal Shem Tov was, he had some good horses that could fly, so could have been Russia, somewhere else. But for the most part, he spent his time in Ukraine or White Russia. It's kind of mixed. Maybe Putin has a point that used to belong to him, you know.
He was good friends with Rabbi Lazar.
Yes, Rabbi Lazar. Anyway, so here you see the difference. It's still within the physical world, but imagine you want a client. You just knock on the door, and that's it. Nowadays, we're getting to a point where imagining Yichuda Ila'ah for a regular guy is imaginable. If you know about agents?
Agent?
Yeah.
In what sense?
Like an AI agent?
AI agents.
Oh, yeah. Artificial intelligence, right?
No, but an AI agent is an AI entity
Like
that
chat something or other?
does work for you.
Okay.
You give it a task and it
Yeah,
just
yeah,
goes
yeah.
and does
Yeah.
it autonomously.
Yeah.
Nowadays, and we're still scratching the surface, you can use an AI agent to describe to him the type of AI agent you need. He then produces it, and then he goes out and looks for clients for you, sends emails, follow-ups, this, that. It still requires a little bit of human in the loop, but you could imagine a year from now, 2 years from now, says, you want clients, just turn on, this is the effort you need to make. Turn on the agent, boop, and it's gonna go get clients for you.
Yeah. People got in trouble for that, by the way. Lawyers for faulty research and stuff, because they pushed the button, didn't do it themselves. But anyway, I read about that every day, so.
You're a lawyer, so that's why you're saying that.
Yeah. Old fashioned.
You're jealous that the AI agents know more law than normal.
No, they don't. That's the problem.
Anyways, we can see in the horizon how this is possible for a normal person, which is a Mashiach type of thing. The fact that it's not going to be easy for not someone who's not the Baal Shem Tov
Bless you.
to reach the level of Yichuda Ila'ah in this way. So, anyways, I'm dealing with agents now on a daily basis, so it's like top of mind.
I would imagine,
Not for law, chas v'shalom, not for law. Only for health.
Good. Good for you.
Anyways, so in one case, you need money, so you have to start a business, you have to pray, you have to work a lot, and you get blessing. In the other example, you knock on the door, you press a button, and then the money is following you. This guy came and ran after the Baal Shem Tov to give him money. Yeah? Not the other way
I
around.
wonder how he knew what he wanted.
Please be my lawyer. Yeah?
Nobody ever said that to me.
Not yet. There's still a chance. Okay. So, again, we don't need to become scared that this seems hard to do. Even without the AI movement that I just spoke about, the second level was reserved for certain people, although now maybe it is feasible. And now we have the famous case, this is used over and over when talking about success, Bitachon, making a recipient to receive Hashem's blessings. The example of Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef, the favorite son of Yaakov Avinu, he was in jail, right? And he helped the butler and the
Water or wine.
the baker. Sorry,
Baker and-
I have it in Spanish, but it takes a while sometimes to translate. My ChatGPT, the butler and the baker. He helped them with the dreams. He predicted it correctly, and eventually the butler was reinstated. And before he was reinstated, he says, "Once you get out, remember me.
Which he didn't.
Remember me." And it says Hashem punished him for 2 more years in jail. How dare you ask for help? What do you mean? Aren't you supposed to make a recipient? Aren't you supposed to work within the laws of nature?
I hadn't thought about that.
What did Joseph do that was so bad? He didn't say, Hashem, I don't need your help. He's going to help me. No, he said, there is here a physical chance where my blessing might come from and I can get out of jail. And he just asked, please remember me. Mm-hmm. No, go back to jail for 2 years. So what? It's like you're in jail. He says, don't call Mark. He's not going to get you out of jail. You have to wait for a miracle. And then so what's going on? In fact, his father Yaakov, his father Jacob, a few weeks in the Parsha, it was a few years before, when he was about to encounter Esav, right?
Yeah, right.
And he prepared for war, and he sent gifts, and he did all this stuff. He said, why are you doing this? Why are you scared? Hashem should have punished him. Why are you sending gifts? And it's going to be fine. Don't do anything. Why was it okay for Yaakov, but not okay for Yosef? So what should we do? Right? And so here, it says, correct. For a regular person, even for Yaakov Avinu, you make a keli, you work through the trappings of the natural world. It's just Yosef HaTzadik, who was on a different level, asking for help there, for him was too much. For him, you went too far. For him, asking for help from the butler is like for us to work 120 hours a week to pay the mortgage. He says, what are you doing?
Where do you learn that it was in the nature of a punishment for asking for help for the butler?
It's there. I
Not
think
the
Rashi
punishment.
says this, yeah.
In the commentaries?
Yeah.
No.
So Yosef was working within the trappings of Havayah within Adnai, and for him that was not okay. He should have worked straight with Adnai within Havayah, which means that Yosef was, at least in some sense, bigger, stronger than his father. Yeah. Now his father's name is Yaakov. Again, he had two names, but Yaakov, right? And Yaakov, as I think we said this before, I don't remember. I mean, in this table, I don't know who was here. Yaakov, you can split Yaakov into, you can sit down. No. Yaakov, you can split it into two. Yud, Ekev. Duolingo, what's Ekev?
Ekev.
Yosef, preguntando al Duolingo. Heel.
Heel. Oh,
Heel, right? Yaakov was grabbing onto the heel of his brother when he came out, so they called him Yaakov. I don't know, Healy. I don't know how you.
Yeah.
But if you put the yud in front of a verb, you transform that verb into a continuous action. Kacha ya'aseh Iyov. This is how Iyov used to do, something that you do continuously. So it says that Yaakov, when you have yud and ekev, it's a continuous action of doing what? Of putting the yud which represents Hashem, right? In fact, in the Siddur, when they put the name of Hashem, you have to say, Baruch Atah Hashem. What does it appear? It doesn't say the name of Hashem, it says Yud Yud. Why Yud Yud? Because the name of Hashem starts with a Yud, Yud Kei Vav Kei, but the way we read it is Adnai, which is Aleph Dalet Nun, Yud. Yud Yud. That's why they put the Yud.
May I?
Yes, you may.
heard another explanation which relates to the topic that you were having, you know, the connection of the Yud K Vav K and Adnai and the Yud Yud. That's the full Shem of the full name of Hashem. And if I'm not mistaken, not yesterday, but the Tuesday before,
Yeah.
you said that Emunah represents the Shechinah. Yes?
Adnai. Yes.
Yes? Adnai. The Shechinah.
Yes.
And that's the female aspect?
We haven't explored the gender, but yes.
And that the Yud K Vav K is the male aspect.
Yes.
And that name, the Yud and the Yud, the full name is Yud, Aleph, A, Dalet. You follow where I'm going with this?
This is exactly what we're talking about. Yes.
Yes, that's what I thought. I just didn't hear it. And when you said
I didn't
last
mention it.
Tuesday- not yet. So
No, I wasn't going to
when
mention
you said
it.
it last Tuesday. It
Yeah.
made sense to me, and I was trying.
See, someone's paying attention.
I was trying to figure out if it actually what I was thinking. And okay, so
Yes.
sorry for the interruption.
No, this is great. I wasn't going to mention this, but as we're talking about uniting Adnai and Havayah, and we said there's two ways to do it. If you grab the letters Yud K Vav K Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, you can mix the names in two ways. You said one, which is start with the Yud, Aleph, Hey, Dalet, right? That is Adnai within Havayah, where you start from the Yud. You could do it the other way around, Aleph, Yud, yes? And you can do it the other way around. I was not going to mention that, but now that you brought it up, amazing.
When you read, when you have a verb and you're talking about future action for a male.
I didn't finish that, so now you're going to understand. Yud Ekev. So Yaakov was doing a continuous action of putting the Yud, which is Hashem, now we understand why the Yud represents Hashem, into the Ekev, into the heel, into even the lowest parts of the world, right? Yaakov brought light even into Haran, which was Haron Avshen Makom, the place that awakened Hashem's rage. And we, as children of Yaakov, our job is to do Yud Ekev all day long. We have to find ways to continuously bring Kedusha, to bring divinity, to bring godliness into the lowest of the low.
Is that why he's got the other name?
Yes, we're both names. Because Yaakov is more connected to this idea of getting our hands dirty. Yisrael, which is like the minister of Hashem, he's higher up. So it could be that if you compare Yosef to Yisrael, even though it's the same person, then it might be a better, more equal comparison.
Yosef to Israel is the same person?
No. Yaakov and Israel is the same person, right?
Yes.
Yaakov, but you said Yosef, Hashem expected more of him than Yaakov, because Yaakov was able to do things within nature.
One was the physical, one was the
But
spiritual.
Yosef said, no, you cannot cheat and ask for help. Because Yosef was acting only in the top level. You could argue, because we are the sons of Yaakov, but also the sons of Israel, which is the same person that worked in two levels, because the other people whose name was changed, once Avraham stopped being Avram, once he put the hey there was no more Avram. But once Hashem changed Yaakov's name to Israel, he's still in the Torah called Yaakov, because he was still working on those two levels. We're still working on the regular level of being involved in the world and trying to infuse it with godliness, and being above it, sort of like the Yosef HaTzadik's way. And so we'll finish up. So when we start praying in the morning, and we say Leshem Yichud Kudsha Berich Ushchinte, we ask that we want to be able to achieve not only a Yichuda, a union between Yudke and Vavke, between Havayah and Adnai, but a Yichuda Shelimah. We would like to get to the level of Yichuda Ila'ah, the higher level of unity, whether through how the Baal Shem Tov did it, whether through AI agents. That wasn't in the book, I saw this, but I think it's a relevant explanation for nowadays. This is the ideal. And we as Jews, we always have to shoot We have to shoot and aim for the ideal, right? Because the problem if you shoot low, the biggest problem you have if you aim low, if your objective is low, is that you hit the target, and then I'm good, I'm hitting the target, but then you're never going to grow. Better aim high and not hit the target, because then that's going to push you to become better. Next week, we shall still continue one more class for Leshem Yichud, and then we'll figure out what's next. Yes?
Good
Approved?
idea. That's a plan.
All right.